You and I are basically just two hairless monkeys trying to survive Monday mornings and pay rent on time. And somehow, we became the most powerful species on Earth. Not lions, not sharks, definitely not T-Rex with its terrifying little chicken arms. Humans, a species that can literally throw out its back, sneezing too hard. About 2.5 million years ago, the genus Homo showed up on Earth. Back then, we were not impressive. No claws, no fangs, no armor, no venom. If you dropped a modern human into the prehistoric wilderness, there's a solid chance we wouldn't survive long enough to finish a motivational speech. But we did have one thing: a weirdly oversized brain. And that giant meat computer changed everything. See, there used to be multiple human species running around. There was Homo erectus, Neanderthals, and eventually us, Homo sapiens. The funny part is, Neanderthals were probably way scarier than we were. They were stronger, tougher, better adapted to cold weather, and excellent hunters. These people fought mammoths up close for fun, while our ancestors were probably arguing over berries. Honestly, if a Neanderthal and an early human got into a fistfight, my money's on the Neanderthal every single time. So why are they extinct, and we're the ones paying taxes? Well, one theory is that humans got really good at long-range weapons. While Neanderthals were basically built like UFC heavyweights, Homo sapiens discovered a magical strategy called throw sharp things from far away and run. Turns out, that works incredibly well. Another theory is disease. Humans may have carried viruses and bacteria that Neanderthals had never encountered before. History has shown many times that tiny invisible germs can wipe out entire populations way faster than giant armies, which is honestly kind of humiliating for evolution. And then there's the third theory. Apparently, we hooked up with them. Scientists found traces of Neanderthal DNA in modern humans today, especially in people of European descent. Which means, somewhere in history, a human looked at a Neanderthal and said, "You know what? I can fix him." But the real reason humans won wasn't strength, it was imagination. Around 70,000 years ago, humans went through what scientists call the cognitive revolution. Basically, our brains got a massive software update. Suddenly, humans could imagine things that didn't physically exist. Gods, nations, laws, money, and productivity schedules we absolutely never follow. Animals communicate too, sure. Dogs bark, birds sing, cats scream at 3 a.m. for absolutely no reason. But human language became something completely different. We could tell stories, gossip, share myths, create religions, explain the universe, or spend 3 hours talking about someone who isn't even in the room. And weirdly enough, gossip may have helped build civilization. Language allowed humans to cooperate in huge groups. A single human is weak, but thousands of humans all believing the same story? That's powerful. If enough people believe in something, whether it's a country, religion, or cryptocurrency, it suddenly becomes real enough to control societies. According to Robin Dunbar, humans can only maintain about 150 meaningful relationships at a time. Beyond that, our brains start buffering like bad Wi-Fi. So to unite millions of strangers, humans invented shared myths and beliefs. One of the biggest was religion. Think about it. Millions of people who have never met each other can still cooperate peacefully because they believe in the same God, the same laws, or the same values. That level of teamwork would absolutely terrify a chimpanzee. And once humans figured out large-scale cooperation, we spread everywhere. Europe, Asia, Australia, basically every continent except Antarctica, because apparently even humans have limits. Wherever we went, giant animals started disappearing. Mammoths probably had a rough few thousand years once humans discovered teamwork and pointy sticks. But intelligence came with a price. Big brains consume huge amounts of energy. To support them, humans traded away physical strength. We stood upright to free our hands, and in exchange we got chronic back pain for the rest of human history. Evolution really said, "Congrats on becoming smart. Your spine now expires at age 30. And women got the worst deal of all. Human babies evolved giant heads, while human hips stayed relatively narrow, making childbirth incredibly dangerous. Giving birth in prehistoric times was basically a boss battle with mortality. Then around 12,000 years ago, humans made another huge change, the agricultural revolution. We stopped wandering around hunting animals and started farming, which sounds great, until you realize humanity basically traded freedom for full-time labor. Hunter-gatherers worked a few hours a day and spent the rest surviving, relaxing, or socializing. Farmers? Farmers worked constantly. Farming also created worse diets, more disease, more tooth decay, and shorter bodies. But it produced one massive advantage: more food. More food meant more people. More people meant villages, cities, kingdoms, politics, armies, and eventually emails marked urgent at 7 a.m. And then humans invented perhaps the most powerful fiction ever created: money. Money has no real value on its own. It's literally paper, metal, or numbers on a screen. The only reason it works is because billions of humans collectively agree that it works. Civilization is basically one giant trust fall exercise. You spend your entire life exchanging time and energy for little pieces of paper, then exchanging those papers for food, shelter, entertainment, and random online purchases you absolutely did not need at 2 a.m. And somehow, from weak little primates hiding from predators, humans became the dominant species on Earth. We built civilizations, landed on the moon, created the internet, and also invented meetings that could have been emails. Human history is honestly one of the weirdest success stories ever told. But evolution, as always, adapted. Over generations, humans who survived these diseases passed stronger immune systems to their children. Populations in Europe, Asia, and Africa slowly developed resistance to many deadly illnesses after living near domesticated animals for thousands of years. And later, when Europeans traveled to places like the Americas, they unknowingly brought those diseases with them. Entire native populations were devastated by viruses they had never encountered before. In many cases, diseases killed more people than wars did, which is honestly horrifying when you think about it. Still, despite all the suffering, farming continued spreading across the world. Because once humans could produce food surplus, everything changed. Food could now be stored, protected, controlled, and eventually traded. Wealth appeared. Property appeared. Social inequality appeared. One person owned more land, more animals, more grain than everyone else. And humanity invented one of the most dangerous ideas ever created: this belongs to me. That single idea shaped almost every civilization that came afterward. Kings rose, empires expanded, economies formed, trade networks connected continents. Civilization grew bigger and more complex than anything the world had ever seen. So, in many ways, the agricultural revolution almost feels like a trap. Humans worked harder, ate worse, got sicker, and lost the freedom their ancestors once had. But at the same time, it also created the modern world. And whether it was a mistake or not, one thing is certain: the agricultural revolution changed human history forever. At some point, humans realized something important. Trading stuff directly was incredibly annoying. Imagine you're an ancient farmer. You have chickens. You want shoes. So you walk into town trying to trade your chickens for sandals, only to find out the shoe guy doesn't want chickens. He wants fish. Now you have to find a fisherman willing to trade fish for chickens, so you can trade fish for shoes. Congratulations. Civilization has accidentally created side quests. So humanity invented one of the most powerful things in history: money. And here's the crazy part: money isn't actually real. I mean, physically, sure, coins and bills exist. But the value? Completely imaginary. A dollar bill is just paper with emotional support. The only reason money works is because humans collectively decided, yeah, this tiny rectangle controls our lives now. And somehow everyone agreed. That shared belief changed the world faster than almost anything else in history. Suddenly, humans could trade with complete strangers. You didn't need to trust another person personally anymore. You just needed both sides to trust the money. And once trade became easier, civilization absolutely exploded. Kingdoms grew into empires, roads connected continents, ships crossed oceans carrying silk, spices, gold, silver, ideas, religions, diseases, and eventually Europeans, with extremely questionable intentions. Humanity became connected on a scale never seen before. Different cultures started mixing together. Languages spread. Religions spread. Technologies spread. For the first time in history, the world slowly started becoming one giant interconnected system. And honestly, humans got weirdly good at turning imagination into reality. Countries exist because people believe they exist. Corporations exist because people believe they exist. Money, laws, borders, stock markets, they're all shared stories running inside billions of human brains simultaneously. Civilization is basically the largest multiplayer server ever created. But there's a dark side to all of this too. The more advanced civilization became, the more humans started organizing their entire lives around imaginary systems. People spent decades chasing money they barely had time to enjoy. Entire wars were fought over invisible lines on maps. Millions of people woke up every morning stressed about numbers on screens. At some point, the species that conquered nature accidentally created spreadsheets and anxiety disorders. And yet, despite all the chaos, humanity kept moving forward. We built cities taller than mountains our ancestors feared. We crossed oceans they thought were endless. We walked on the moon, something prehistoric humans probably would have described as the glowing sky rock. From weak little primates hiding from predators, humans became the dominant force on Earth. Not because we were stronger, not because we were faster, but because we could believe in things that didn't exist, and convince millions of others to believe in them too. That ability changed the planet forever. And honestly, the weirdest part is, we're probably just getting started.